Dennis Miller Show. Tonight, Peter Strauss, the Rollins Band, Whitney Brown, Andy Summers and the Soporifics. And now, it's him.
You is my audience. You is. Andy Summers, how are you, Andy?
Thanks, I'm great.
Do you renounce Satan?
I do renounce Satan. But only the left hand.
Do you renounce all his works?
I renounce all his works.
Okay, good to know. And, Nikki?
Dennis?
You and I are recovering from that Elvis piece last night, huh? Ooh, took a big hit broadside there. I was halfway through that piece. I was in a long tunnel, and I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. And
did it break your heart to come back from that tunnel?
Yes, it did. But,
a little part of you died?
What color green is that now? That's
actually
Jello
it's,
mold green, or what?
It's somewhat postulant.
All right. Let's get to the news. President Bush started off his State of the Union address with a joke about his trip to Japan, and then he presented his ideas for fixing the country's problems. As a comedian, I have to commend George on his mastery of the form. Open slowly and finish with your funniest stuff, huh? After the speech, did you see when Bush was leaving the House of Representatives and he tripped on that American flag he had wrapped himself up in? Kind of embarrassing. You know, Bush thinks Americans should be able to borrow from their retirement savings to pay for their health care bills. There's a master plan, huh? This is like telling people to sell their house to get a home improvement loan. He proposed a $500 increase in the personal exemption for children, bringing it up to $2,800. So now all you have to do is have 10 children, and you can afford to send one of them to college. So, sounds like a pretty good plan. Bush made a lot out of the fact that we won the Cold War. Hey, George, forget the Cold War. People want heat, all right? He used a lot of phrases from the Desert Storm scenario in his speech last night. Concerning the economy, he said, "This will not stand," echoing his statement about the Gulf War. He then went on to call the deficit an insane dictator with a mustache. So I think he got a little too far into the... Maybe he shouldn't have went to that fifth joke on the speech last night. Clinton had to apologize to Cuomo this week. In one of his taped conversations with Jennifer Flowers, Clinton said that Cuomo acted like a mafioso. Cuomo accepted his apology, but said that if he ever does it again, he'll have him whacked. So, some of the Democratic candidates are getting desperate for attention. I saw Paul Tsongas. He's appearing as a product on the Amazing Discovery Show. And Boris Yeltsin finally reappeared after missing. He's been missing for 2 days. Kind of ironic, believed that he was suffering from a hangover. So ironic that the man who removed the hammer and sickle from the Russian flag now spends all of his time getting hammered and sick. So he inspected the Russian fleet on Tuesday after the 2-day disappearance, said he couldn't make any meetings in the interim 2 days because he had the spins. Macy's department store has filed for bankruptcy. You know when you're in a recession when you go down to the unemployment line and you see underdog, okay? That's a little balloon joke. No, you don't have to pull me out. I'm a big boy. You gotta have bad monologues, man. You gotta steel yourself in the fire, man. Like Jan Michael Vincent and Tribes, you know. If you don't feel the sand buckets, they're not there. Macaulay Culkin getting somewhere between $5 and $10 million for Home Alone 2. You know, when I was a kid, I was lucky if I got an enema, all right? which I would gladly have in place of $5 to $10 million. Oh, crushing news for me personally. Guitarist C.C. DeVille has left the rock band Poison this week because of artistic differences. Apparently, C.C. wants to write fun rockin' tunes, but the rest of the band insists on only playing rockin' fun tunes. So they had to part company. I love that joke, no? I'm going to put that one on you. That was a good joke. Jeffrey Dahmer will be kept behind a plexiglass shield while he sits in court during his upcoming trial for cannibalism. And the Fox network is already planning a TV movie about the trial called The Serial Killer in the Plastic Bubble. So it's kind of the softer, sensitive side of cannibalism that I don't think we see enough of. And finally, Imelda Marcos was arrested in the Philippines today. You know, she's the first person ever to be arrested under that country's new fat, stupid cow law. We got a great show. Yeah. We got Peter Strauss, the Rollins Band, and Whitney Brown, Andy.
The Dennis Miller Show is brought to you by the Michelob family of beers, because some days are better than others.
I love you. I honestly love you. Okay, it's National Snack Month. Actually, it's February, but I wanted to jump the gun and beat the competition. Tonight's spotlight snack is panda jerky. And this is a favorite of Secretary of State James Baker on his threatened species hunting trips. Panda jerky is a tiny taste of Tiananmen Square and a dried slab of upper-class raccoon. Pandas are vegetarians, so this meat is good for you. Get it by the rasher. You'll love it. It's our spotlight snack, panda jerky. Okay, tonight's Miller's Index, and this is based on the Harper Magazine Monthly Index. The first half of each pair is an actual fact. The second is a bit of a diversion. Pay attention, you can learn something here. The cab fare from New York to Los Angeles, $5,500. Cab fare from LaGuardia to Broadway, if you're new in town, $4,500. The cost of having a car blessed at the Dayashi Buddhist Temple in Japan, $10.77. With wax, $14.77. Number of reported cases of seizures brought on by the Voice of Entertainment Tonight co-host Mary Hart, 1. Number of cases of narcolepsy brought on by the voice of John Tesh, 17. Pounds of plutonium needed to make an atomic bomb, 15. Ounces of plutonium needed to make a plutonium lettuce and tomato sandwich, 4. Years David Duke was associated with white supremacy groups, 11. Number of Americans in these groups who can truly be considered supreme, 0. Lifespan of, tapped into that anti-neo-Nazi vein, and I'm milking it. Lifespan of an adult mayfly in days, 1. Hours an adult mayfly spends watching the clock and crying, 24. Rank of peanut M&Ms among all candies sold at New York City subway newsstands, 1. Number of handguns in New York City that have been modified to fire peanut M&Ms, 60,000. Percentage of Americans who say they want to live to 100, 49. Percentage who say they just want to live long enough to see the Cubs win the World Series, 12. Yeah! My first, okay. How come we always pick the small laugh for the ender? We should put the big laugh at the end. It's just me, but I'm kicky tonight. You know, my first guest starred in Rich Man, Poor Man. He's won Emmys for his performance in the Jericho Mao and Masada. And he can be seen next week in The Fugitive Among Us. Please welcome Peter Strauss, folks. Peter Strauss.
are you?
Okay. You're the gentleman farmer now, right?
The gentleman farmer.
Yeah, you live up in Ojai now, right?
We live...
Or you have a farm up there, right?
We have we produce 400 tons of citrus annually. Last year we produced 400 tons of frozen fruit. We had a 17-degree low, and in 2 nights we lost a year's work.
Jeez.
That was amazing because when it gets cold, years ago, one just used smudge pots, those little heaters in the orchard.
I have one under my desk right now. A little cold during that last piece.
And then they started using wind machines, but the trend is the kiwi fruit of the year in terms of warmth for orchards is to rent a helicopter.
Oh, yeah?
And they literally, they bring you warm air. And you sit there with a phone calling them in, negotiating the amount of time they'll sit above your orchard,
Right.
forcing warm air down. And you compare it against the temperature and how much fruit you have on the trees. At a certain point, you come out to zero and you go to bed and you've lost your crop. And that's what happens.
Maybe I'm overthinking this, but just have Liz Taylor get married in your orchard and you get the copters for free. It's just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there. It's funny, I see you come... I know it has been years since this thing. You probably get sick of talking about it your whole life, but I always think of you as Rudy. It's so weird. And I've seen Nolte and Immeasurable Things, and I always think of him as Tommy Jordache. That has really stuck with you guys all these years. Is that a pleasure for you, or is that a nightmare for you?
Well, it used to be a nightmare. And then one day I realized that, that show now is 17 years old.
Really?
Which is astonishing. And for a while, I sort of wanted to be like a flasher and open up my coat with credits in it and say, this is the other work I've done, what about that? And then I suddenly realized that most people don't remember what was on television 17 minutes ago.
Right.
So to have the memory of 17 years is something really to look at with pride as opposed to apprehension.
Right.
But I was going to come dressed tonight like I usually. I just throw on jeans and a T-shirt. And the last time I did that on a show, I got letters from people saying, "What are you looking like a bum for? Where's the Rudy Jordache look?"
Yeah, they want...
That was it.
Now, when I
gave up.
You were a kid then, too, and they aged you. I remember Rudy looked pretty, actually, senatorial there towards the end. He actually... How old were you when you did that?
I was about 60.
No.
And there are people who think by now I'm 82 and I've had amazing plastic surgery.
Yeah.
I finished another film this year about a lawyer, and I had to meet with the head of the network because he was convinced I was too old for the role of a 40-year-old. Because his notion was that after Rich Man, Poor Man, 17 years, 60 years of age, he must be 77 by now. So what I do is assume people come up to me and think I look remarkably fit for that age. And that I haven't done that much surgery to look this good, but it's fine.
Yeah, you look great. Well, actually, I'm a 58-year-old Filipino woman. And this is just what we're wearing this season. We're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back with Peter Strauss, folks. Back with Peter Strauss. Now, Peter, the new film is Fugitive Among Us, and it's another rape drama on TV, isn't it? Or actually a different light on it, though, right?
I hope it's better than that.
No, but I mean, it's a different take, isn't it, about your pursuit, your obsession with the rapist?
It's a film that's a study of obsession. Mm-hmm. And I tried to get values in it that are also about forgiveness. But it's based on a true story of a police detective, Texas police detective, who pursued a suspect for a rape for 3 years and discovered that he had basically pursued the wrong man, and what it meant to him, how it affected his life. And he starts off with enormous marital difficulty and enormous problems about loneliness in himself. So it became an interesting character. Mm-hmm. I think we brought up.
We have a little look here. This is
it's a little
Fugitive
hard. This is the
Among Us.
first interrogation, and it was a hard scene to cut into, but basically the smell of the film, I think, is there. This is the man I suspect. He's noticed that my hand is bandaged from putting my fist through a glass window on a marital dispute, And he is my devil. He's found a way to get under my skin.
It's like Lecter
Yeah,
to some
it is.
extent. All right.
His hands so careful. And pretty soon she get that soft, lazy look in her eyes. You know the one when she's just about ready to let it go. But I wouldn't take her then. I'd wait for that sweet, low groan that starts from somewhere down deep in her belly. And when she was just aching for it, I'd
Nobody,
What they call a clip of a clip.
yeah, I don't think anybody can get weirder quicker than Eric Roberts can. Man, he is out there. You know, that's the new trend now in movies. They always have the guy who's sort of like the prophet who gets into the other guy's head. He uses his amazing powers. We had Hannibal Lecter, and then in Backdraft they had Donald Sutherland. He played like flammable Lecter in there. He got into the other guy's head. Now we have this guy getting into your head.
Well, you know, it's still, though, it's a picture that ultimately deals with women as victims. And the whole of next year's scripts are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have 2 years in a row of women as victims. Next year is the year of, there are about 10 films dealing with harassment. There are about 20 that still deal with rape. There are about 10 that deal with the workplace. But, I mean, it's like television gets an idea and then it literally works it to death. And then hopefully next year we'll get back to romance.
Well, that
and
trial
humanity.
lit that fuse, though. I think women, if anything, are more indignant now when they sat there and and obviously nobody knows what went on with Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill, but something went down there. And, you know, when women sit at home and just see 12 men up there questioning this woman, I think they get really indignant. They're just feeding that monster now, Hollywood, I would assume.
Well, now it's the Clinton monster.
Yeah.
And the thing
Boy, they're on him, man.
But the thing that's so disturbing is, in a sense, what I thought about yesterday is that we're at a point where a newspaper like the Star or the National Enquirer can literally take all the decent human beings. I mean, people who have perhaps there was a genuine problem in their marriage. Perhaps they solved it, they seem to.
Right.
They're loving, they have dignity in their marriage, and they want to serve this country. And this newspaper is having an effect to the point where anybody who wants to run for politics in this country is doomed. I mean, even if he picked his nose in the 5th grade, he's ultimately doomed. Because it becomes an issue, and we're going to have fewer and fewer decent, intelligent, caring human beings wanting to serve this country.
Yeah.
And we're going to have people, you know, I'd rather have Clinton, this isn't an endorsement in a sense, I'd rather have a man who worked through a dilemma in his marriage and has made his marriage work,
Right.
sitting opposite Yeltsin, than someone who has no passion in his life and has never solved a critical problem. It's like what is it Carter said when he read Playboy? I have lust in my heart.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Clinton sitting there solving a problem for me.
Right.
But what scares me is that kind of a newspaper...
Well, you know, I think that smattering of applause is indicative that I think there's a growing backlash against that sort of stuff in this country. Maybe I'm naive, but I think people are starting to think, oh, for God's sakes, let it go. Let's look at the guy's record. If it's okay for his wife, isn't it okay for us?
He hasn't had a chance to talk about crime, education, poverty, any of the serious things affecting this country. Marital discord is in almost every marriage, and ultimately, if one solves it, it makes a richer marriage and a better human being, no?
I think John Lennon had the right idea. Do your press conferences from bed, man. That's the only place they'll listen to you anymore. Thanks for coming on, Peter. We'll watch
enjoyed
the
it. Thank
film.
you.
Appreciate it. Good to meet you. We'll be right back after
This portion of the Dennis Miller Show is brought to you by Crisco, because you're cooking for your family.
Welcome back. Thank you. Tomorrow night, my guests will be humorist Dana Gould, novelist T.C. Boyle, and Luther Vandross. Yeah. Now, we did a bit last night on the bisexual magazine out of San Francisco, Anything That Moves, and Got a lot of angry calls tonight from bisexuals. Twice. But you know, I did. Hey, one of the fictitious staff found an interesting item at the dump yesterday, a page from Michael Jackson's old Filofax. This is pretty interesting stuff here. Where do I go with this? Right here? 9 a.m., get up. 9:02, grab crotch. 9:40 a.m., change bleach in face tray. 9:45, eat breakfast, 1 blade of grass, 1/2 bean. 9:50, purge, blame mess on bubbles. 9:55, dress. 11:30 a.m., order epaulets. 11:45 a.m., check face against Diana Ross photo. Noon, lunch, other half a bean, diuretic. 1 p.m., invite Macaulay Culkin over, make fun of Emmanuel Lewis. 4 p.m., call Liz, borrow copy of Sweatin' to the Oldies. 8:30 p.m., duck LaToya. So that's just a page out of Michael Jackson's Filofax. All right. Okay, if you saw the Lollapalooza tour, and I know I was in the front row throwing my bra every night, you saw my next guest. He says listening to his music is like getting hit by a truck and breaking the driver. Henry Rollins!
Okay.
So, Henry, why a ballad? You know, I'm 38 years old now. I guess I'm turning into the enemy. I'm the square now. But I find that very cathartic music. Now, I would imagine you don't need a psychiatrist, right? Because that must, you know,
That's what we
that
call
looked good, man. I
poor
could-
man's therapy.
Yeah, that must feel great, man. It must be like playing linebacker in the NFL. You know, you get your shots in there. That you okay, man?
Jumping off something tall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I feel like the guy at the end of the marathon who jams the microphone in his face. Hey, was it a good race? You got to wind down from that. Take it easy, babe. I'm here for you. Now, Henry!
I don't know.
Now, what's the tattoo thing? I'm always I'm always fascinated by this because some people just go nuts with it, and then eventually they're like a human Etch-a-Sketch. Are you just going to keep going with it, or you're just going to do the arms here?
No, I don't know.
You just don't know?
I'm not
So-
on a schedule with it.
See, I'm such an old fogey. Whenever I, get like
39.
things put through my nose and that, I always have it on schedule. But that's me. You're 39 now?
No,
You're not 39?
I'm 30.
You had me going. I used to be in Black Flag, man. Now that's a very heavy punk scene there. What was beautiful? The Black Flag heads are here. What was that crowd like that you play for?
Going out and playing with Black Flag every night was realizing you're probably going to have to get into some kind of physical male bonding experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes tender, like a love ballad,
Mm-hmm.
or vigorous and intense, where you end up in the hospital or something.
Yeah.
There's a very
Black Flags at half-mast.
intense time,
What, how do you, now, you're an author now, too. Are you finding you're able to channel some of this, I don't know, what is this? You have an overwrought libido, or where does all this energy come from, man? What's
Rage.
happening here? Rage?
Yeah, compressed
Well,
childhood.
what pisses you off, man?
Oh, how many hours you got?
Go, come on, lay it on me. Go.
Well, since
They
we're-
want me to show a clip, but I'd rather you vent this bow, man. Get it out. I want you to leave here clean tonight.
What really irks me is basically weakness. And all the bad things in the world come from weakness, I reckon. Racism, graft, rape, Daryl Gates.
What about the, now how do you answer the, I also see groups that seem to be on the wrong side of those issues who claim that weakness in our direction is what's ruining the, so, how do you defend that? You see these skinhead kids who stomp people, and they talk about how the weak are ruining the planet, so...
I reckon these fascist skinhead types who you're making reference to, I think they're like the classic blues situation. It's a good man feeling bad.
Yeah.
I'm not defending them. I'm
Right.
just saying no one comes out of the chute a racist.
Right.
And I'm thinking maybe some of these young men and women got the wrong info on the way up.
Yeah.
Bad dad, bad mom, some
Right.
moron at school.
Kicked too many times.
Well, hate is easy.
There's a lot of human flotsam and jetsam out there, man. People that just get forgotten, and I guess they get angry, right?
Well, we live in a place, no one ever says apartheid and America in one sentence. Chuck D said it on the last Public Enemy record, finally. Of course, he would do it. But that's what we have here in this country, and, you have small skirmishes happening all the time, and it's just compression.
It's getting weirder, though, man. I don't think they're going to be so small in the future.
I think you can only push people so far, and then they just freak out.
Well, the disenfranchised are being left further in the wake in this country, and at some point, somebody's going to have to turn the boat around, go back and get the rest of them. Well, listen, I think you're a unique fellow. You seem to blend really sort of iconoclastic
I
image
match
with a
your
thoughtful
seat.
man. Yeah.
James Brown sat here yesterday.
Yeah,
huh?
he did.
I was going to ask to smell the seat or something, but that's not ready for prime.
You know what he
time
said to
playing.
me? He said, "Isn't Henry
said-
Rollins going to sit here tomorrow?"
No, he didn't.
Thank you,
Soul
Henry.
Brother #1.
Come back anytime, man. All right? Thank you. Henry Rollins. We'll be right back. I forgot to give my new best friend Hank some panda jerky. Hey, you know, Brooke Shields was on last night, and I didn't even talk about the fact that her play Love Letters will be on stage at the Cannon Theater February 4th through 9th. I ran right through that because I'm overly chatty right now in my progression as a talk show host. So that's Love Letters with Brooke Shields and Henry Rollins. I love you. Hey, he was cool. I dug that. I find that sort of thing liberating, man. That is an artist. He's out there cranking it. My next guest sat next to me on Saturday Night Live for many years doing The Big Picture and often fondled my knee. He is a political satirist of the first rank, a very funny man. Hey, Whitney Brown. Whitney!
Thank you. I was watching the State of the Union last night, and boy, this country's in a hell of a mess. You know, I wouldn't mind paying my taxes if I felt like I was getting something for them. In Europe, you pay taxes, you get child care, subsidized health care, pension. What do we get for our tax money? A big pile of dead Arabs. Now, what am I going to do with the big pile of dead Arabs? You know, in Japan, they have smart students. We have smart bombs. And I personally worry about a country where the bombs are smarter than the high school graduates. Because, I mean, you have to admit, at least the bombs could find Iraq on a world map. You know, we have 25 million illiterates in the country. I read that in USA Today. Well, I'll tell you the truth, I didn't actually read it, but there was a stick figure with a little diploma's hat, a graduation hat on, pointing to a pie chart. And I think to myself, what are those people going to do in life? In Japan, if you can't read or write, they put you to work translating VCR instructions into English. Here, they end up giving you directions at gas stations, wasting millions of gallons of gasoline. And how many of these illiterates are going to sometime in their lives defrost their refrigerators with a sharp object? Because they can't read that little sign, you know, thereby wasting millions of cubic feet of chlorofluorocarbons into the atmosphere to chew up the ozone layer. I don't know. And then I think about another country, our former enemy, no longer our enemy, the Soviet Union, just signed up to send them another $600 million, and we have no idea what's going to happen over there. The only thing we know for sure is that Tom Clancy's got a bad case of writer's block. And yet, still, what a golden moment in history for collectors of oversized Bolshevik hero statues. This really is their time. Nevertheless, I think to myself, how ironic that the fatal flaw in communism would turn out to be that there's no money in it. Because they don't have money, they have this thing called rubles. And if you think it's hard, get rid of Canadian quarters. I also wonder about the future of some of these newly independent countries, like, well, there's Moldavia. I don't know if you've ever heard of this country, but they announced their independence with a big fanfare, with a stated intention of someday rejoining Romania, which they border. And I think here's a people with high aspirations. You know, reach for the golden ring, people. Anyway, I think the problem with our electoral process, because it's ironic to me that just when the Soviet Union's moving to a multi-party system, we are settling into a single-party system. Because let's face it, the Democrats don't have a shot in hell. They really don't. And I think the problem is New Hampshire. You know, that every election they get first cut of our candidates. Well, who died and made them kingmakers? You know, my apartment building in Manhattan could vote as a block and cancel out their entire electorate. And you see the president there, you know, it's the Granite State, this Norman Rockwell classic Americana image, and I think to myself, the small mammals by the side of the road state might be a little bit more apt, because they have this motto, live free or die, on their license plates. And I wonder how sincere that is when you consider that the license plates are made in prison. And although the real problem watching the campaign unfold in New Hampshire is that these people are mourning people. And I don't think it's safe, personally, to let the future leaders of the free world be picked by mourning people. You know, it's a known fact, if you've ever lived with one, anyway, it's a known fact that every major dictator in history was a mourning person. And then the president, I see him in Japan, and that made me laugh, because the whole premise of that trip is that they're not playing fair. You know, we're castigating them for making cars like their jobs depend on it. And the premise of the trip was our trade deficit is caused because the average Tokyoite is dying to trade in his Honda if he could just somehow get his hands on a Chevette. But they're trying to sell cars in Japan, American cars. I don't think we're ever going to make things well enough to please the Japanese, but I don't think that's the problem anyway. We never sold Japan anything in my short life. The problem is not that we don't make things well enough to sell to the Japanese. The problem is we don't make things well enough for ourselves to buy. You know, Chrysler could crack the American market. That's where the money is. And that is why the opening up of Eastern Europe is so exciting to me, because we do make things well enough to sell to Eastern Europe. You know, provided we give them the money first. Anyway, when you think about the trade deficit, it's not cars, it's pot. You know, here, we're going to check that trade deficit with Colombia. I know it's a small bill, so it's very difficult, but if we could grow pot, we could sell it to the Japanese, and then the quality of their merchandise would go down to match ours.
Hey, Whitney, forget Columbia. It's the District of Columbia.
Hey, I saw you on TV last week.
Hey, what was I doing?
You had Tom Hanks on, you had your own show and everything. It was really great.
Yeah.
So I picked up one of your napkins, Dennis Miller, your logo. I was just filling in the words, see, on the logo there. It's great,
We
man.
got to get it to a camera. You see that? You
The
see
Dennis
that?
Miller logo puzzle combination.
Whitney, you got me in a bit I want to get out of here. Well, Whitney's circling them off. It's like jumble. Forget it. We'll take a commercial. We'll be right back. Whitney Brown.
If you're going to be in Los Angeles and would like to attend a taping of The Dennis Miller Show, please drop us a note. Care of The Dennis Miller Show, Post Office Box 8160, Universal City, California 91608, or call us at 818-506-0043.
Back with Whitney Brown. Andy, thank you. Now, Whitney, you've put together a book of your big pictures, which I always thought was some of the best political commentary in this country, but I love the bio notes in the back. You're so non-effusive. Hitchhiking his way from dead concert to dead concert, trying to see through his hair, A. Whitney Brown made his way to New York, where he now lives. I think that sums up... Well, I've done showbiz with you for years. You've always been one of the least show-busy people I know, but one of the funniest.
Thank you very
I knew
much.
you'd like that. Has it always been your approach?
Yeah, I don't know.
You just never bought in completely, did you?
No, I tried, but I just find myself unable to get wrapped up in the tinsel and the glitter of the whole thing.
Yeah?
I don't know. I guess it's my background.
You're too smart sometimes, aren't you?
Never finished high school, Dennis.
Yeah, but what's that have to do with
I
it,
know.
you know?
It's true. I'm going for my GED, though, soon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't buy books the last 2 years, and, okay, you know a little bit about us.
A little too much, maybe.
Yeah. Now, how's your daughter doing? I know that matters.
Man,
Your daughter and your farm and
Hi,
all that?
Serena. She had her birthday this month.
Oh, yeah? How old?
13 years old. And, God, time goes by so fast, you know. I was remembering the first time that she learned how to lie. You know, and it's so wonderful to be with your child when they discover something that you know they're going to use for the rest of their life. And I remember I was driving her home from childcare one day, and she turned to me. She said, "Daddy, I think we better stop now and get some ice cream." That's how she used to talk. And I said, "Honey, you know we can't do that because your mother doesn't like you to eat before we get home." She said, "Yeah, I know. But I got an idea. Let's not tell her." You know, it's just like she was the first one in the world to ever think of it. I was so proud. And, so I turned to her and I said, all right, sweetheart, we'll stop and we'll get some ice cream. And after that, we're going to stop and see an old girlfriend of mine. But just look back. Boy, they grow up fast. How's your daughter, Dennis?
I have a little son.
Son, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
son. He
But it's nice to know you care.
Sorry.
Hey, do you miss the
You
show
have
at
a
all?
wife, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
have a
that's
wife.
right.
And you don't, do you?
No, I don't, as a matter of fact.
Do you miss the show?
No, not a bit.
No?
No. Sometimes, though, I just stay up for 3 days on Tuesday, you know, and flog myself, and then it's rough.
So things haven't changed.
No, I find myself still, you know, we used to write the show on Tuesday nights, you know, and I find myself still being unable to sleep. I wake up in the middle of Tuesday night going, I know something I should be doing, but
It's the hour
I'm
of the wolf.
overdue for something, you know.
Whit, good to see you, buddy.
Oh, Dennis,
Always
man,
a
it's
pleasure,
good
my
to
friend.
see
Whitney
you.
Brown, folks. We'll be right back after this.
This portion of the Dennis Miller Show is brought to you by Dawn Dishwashing Liquid. It takes grease out of your way.
Well, we're back. About to wrap up. I did not want to forget to mention Henry's. This is his new CD, Rollins Band, The End of Silence. And very mellow. I always hear it played daily on The Wave. And this is Henry's book, Poetry, and needless to say, it is free verse. I'd like to thank Peter Strauss, good friend Whit. It's always good to
Thanks,
see you,
Dennis.
buddy. What do you got coming out? You got a book coming? Another one?
I'm working on another one.
All right.
I'm just reading this one, though. I'm
Big
not
Picture
writing it.
2. Okay. I missed that. You're so hip. Good night, teenagers.
When in Los Angeles, guests of the Dennis Miller Show stay at the St. James Club and Hotel.